Is this the jet that can prevent a war with China?
Well, it should be. And don't forget, China late last year flew 2 new stealth aircraft of its own, really forcing our hand. But President Trump has made the biggest decision on an American fighter plane in 25 years. This is the first 6th-generation fighter. We've got a 6th-generation bomber, the B-21. But this plane, as he says, is really better than anything else out there. It's stealthy. It's got a lot of information connections. And this is the plane they need out in the Pacific to deter China and face them down if necessary.
Interesting. So this replaces the F-22. It's being positioned as a drone platform the way that Dan Flatley described. Is that going to be the future? Because we hear, even from Elon Musk, that there's less need than ever for manned weapons platforms. This is a hybrid of both.
Yes, well, it turns out the Air Force knows that we do still need a manned fighter, but one that is equipped to work with drones. And those drones can do everything from electronic warfare to maybe carrying additional weapons. Those drones are in development as well. So you're really seeing the next phase of war. What this fighter also does, President Trump implied it's got a Mach 2 speed. We know it's going to have good range and probably very advanced propulsion, a lot of sophisticated composite shaping. This is something that only America can pull off, and congratulations to the Boeing team that's designed this.
And, you know, obviously Boeing wanted this, Lockheed wanted it. Why do you think Boeing finally pulled this out and got it?
Well, in the end, it's going to have come down to how the various aircraft scored on the test range. We know this Boeing craft has been flying for almost 5 years. The president told us it had great numbers. That means it did very well in its operational evaluations. It's real hard for enemy air defenses to see. And then it would have all that combination of sophisticated electronics, the ability to upgrade it, the ability to get it into production quickly. And as President Trump said, he's ordered a lot. All that goes into the decision to award the contract.
I want you to cut through some of the controversy that we're hearing today in Washington involving Elon Musk, because this is being announced as you've got a massive pushback from the White House on his visit to the Pentagon. All the antennas went up last night when the New York Times suggested that Elon Musk was going to go to the Pentagon for essentially a secret briefing on war plans for China. The president, after going on Truth Social about this, addressed it directly today in the Oval Office. Here's what he said.
We don't want to have a potential war with China, but I can tell you if we did, we're very well equipped to handle it. But I don't want to show that to anybody. But certainly you wouldn't show it to a businessman. Elon has businesses in China, and he would be susceptible perhaps to that. But it was such a fake story.
He has businesses in China, as the president said. He also runs one of the most important defense contractors out there in SpaceX. I'm piling a bunch of issues on top here to make this real hard on you. The fact of the matter is he had denigrated Lockheed and the F-35 project. There are questions about whether he weighed in on whether to hire Boeing for this, even though this was a long-term bidding process. You can speak to that. There are also questions about what he's doing at the Pentagon, Doctor. What do you make of it?
Well, first on the F-47, it's won on the merits. Elon's been talking trash about manned fighters for 5 years at least. But, hey, I think the Chief of Staff of the Air Force, General Alvin, knows a little bit more than Elon about that. So we see this good decision. I don't see anything going on there with F-47. Now, why was Elon at the Pentagon? To my mind, it's because he's a very innovative businessman. You know, President Trump has picked a lot of innovators from the private sector for his positions or his selection for the Air Force. Troy Mink, who's from the space world, but very innovative as well. I think they were looking at business plans. And, hey, there are war plans and war plans. Did they talk about China? I don't know. I think they talked about the really important topic of more innovative business practices at the Pentagon.
But you do certainly have the optics of this when you have Elon Musk at the Pentagon today when this announcement comes out.
Yes, but I think we have to give the sway here to President Trump and to Secretary of Defense Hegseth. This is his first big acquisition decision. And clearly, manned fighters have won the day. And that's because the Air Force knows, and the Navy as well, that you right now still need that combination of manned platforms and the drones. That's what's going to get us to dominance over China and deterrence of China.
Manned fighters have won the day, says Rebecca Grant. With that said, what happens to the Raptor and the F-35 programs?
Well, the Raptor will be with us for a while. They were deployed to the Middle East, and we're going to be leaning on the Raptor for quite a while, at least through this decade. Eventually, it will retire. You know, it is a 40-year-old design, though it's the best of our fighters. The F-35, that one is going great guns. We have 20 different allies that are partners in that program. We will have F-35s around for many decades to come. Very hot production line, important upgrades to the engine, the cooling, and the weapons. And the F-35 is absolutely a mainstay for NATO and a lot of our allies in the Pacific. So they'll be on the team.
Why a new fighter jet at the end of the day? With all the technology that we have, I know we talked about China, but with all the technology we have, do we really need it at all?
Such an excellent question. Yes, we do. China has spent years trying to lock us out through their electronic systems and their long-range systems. And the job of this new fighter is to break up that defense bubble and to be able to get in and hold Chinese targets at risk. That gives us deterrence, and it also gives the president options in the event of a crisis. Given what China is putting up in the Pacific, we absolutely need this F-47, for sure.
This is happening at the same time procurement reform lands at the Pentagon, but also a different view when it comes to more unmanned drones, also sea-based unmanned vehicles, cyber weapons. Is this all part of the same toolkit, or is this kind of a vestige of a Cold War approach at the Pentagon?
No, it's all part of the new toolkit and what the community calls sixth generation, or President Trump calls level 6. Part of that is this ability to incorporate more information. And also, these now have been digitally designed. They can go to production faster. And hey, I've got a hint for you. This is not the last secret fighter plane. I'm told that the Navy also has one in the works. And we may see a decision on a carrier-based sixth-generation fighter sometime this year.
How about that? When does this one get in the air, by the way? Do we have a sense?
This one's been in the air as a demonstrator.
In deployment.
Deployment, I would say we're a little ways out. They are going to go as quick as they can.
2030?
But it has to go through, I'm sure they'd love to have it towards the end of this decade. It's got to go through some operational test and production, but maybe quicker than we thought.